Please announce yourself.
Okay, good morning, millionaires. Good morning, millionaires. I hope everybody's feeling good this morning. Um,
And exit tones are off.
my name is Haziq Ali. I'm a revenue acceleration expert. I'm a self esteem development fanatic, starting with my own. And our whole goal every single morning is to give you exactly what you need to go further, faster, with less effort as it relates to your business, as it relates to your life, as it relates to your relationships. Our whole goal is to adjust our philosophy because what we know is that it's our philosophy that gives us our attitude. It's our attitude that gives birth to our activity. It's our activity that gives us our results, and it's our results that create our lifestyle. We don't want to be like the normal ones, right? That try and skip straight to the activity without doing anything internal, without doing anything to change the way they're thinking about everything. That ain't gonna last. That's what we call motivation. What we're looking to do is inspire. What we're looking to do is make it so that you can become a catalyst for change, not only amongst your own sorts of thoughts and whatnot, but I'm talking about the example that you set for others. I'm talking about the family that you're leading to the promised land. I'm talking about the friends who are looking up to you, whether you know it or not. I'm talking about those family members that listen in and you don't even know that they're paying attention. Millionaires, the better you make yourself, the better you're going to become. And I got to tell you, man, the better you become, the better your life is going to get. You understand? When you get better, life gets better. You know, that's the whole goal here. When you get better, life gets better. All right, it's check-in time. We're about to get this party started. If you've never been here before, this is where you kind of rep where you from. You know, talk about the kind of business that you have. You know, this is a good time for you to check in with your people. We want to know where you are from. We want to know where we got family at. You know, we don't always want to get a hotel everywhere we go. We want to know where we got some family. We got any family out there? Where are you from? You know, and then here's another thing. Make sure that you like this thing. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe. We about to get started in less than 60 seconds. Make sure you like it right now. Share with somebody. We about to get this party rolling. We about to get this party rolling. Everybody feeling good? Everybody feeling good? We about to get this party rolling. Let's get it. Let's get it. Make sure that you share this thing. Make sure you share this thing with somebody who needs it. What kind of business do you have? Let us know. All right, I got 7:30. So this training right here, y'all, this is for two different types of people. There's one kind of entrepreneur who avoids conflict, right? They go along to get along. You know, their whole thing is that like they're really good at people liking them, and they sometimes end up kind of like living a smaller life than they have to because of that. They're almost delving into people pleasing, right? But then you have another kind, the kind that just loves conflict, and they ruin relationships, they burn bridges, they have no idea why they're wreaking havoc, why carnage continues constantly in their lives. You know what I'm saying? So what are we talking about here? Today, we're talking about the 10 ways that you can profit from conflict. Because, see, here's the thing. Somebody write this in the comments, write this in your notes. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Somebody give it to me. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Can I get that in the comments? Yeah, good morning, Don Lamar. Let them know. What's up, Corey? Make sure you share this joint. What's up, Desiree? Let's go, Charity. Make sure you share this thing. My man Jackie Robinson is in the house. Let's get it. Let's get it. Somebody share this thing. Mrs. Alicia Goins is in the house. Let's go. Let's go. What's up, Charity? What's up, Ashley? Let's get it. Let's get it. Somebody say, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. You know what I'm saying, Ezra? If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Let's go, Crystal. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, Yolanda. Can I get a witness? What's up, Tasia? Good morning. Patrianne is in the house. What's up, Miss Reed? If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. That's an absolute fact. I don't know if you're conflict allergic out there. Conflict is avoided by most people. I don't know if y'all have ever seen Fight Club when they would go out there and try to start fights. And one of the facts that they brought to the forefront was that most people avoid conflict at all costs. Why? Because it creates all this uncertainty. That's why usually in boxing, the first thing you want to do is get hit in the face. Because once you realize getting hit in the face don't kill you, you gain more bravery, you gain more courage, because most people avoid the conflict because of the anxiety, because of the discomfort, because of the uncertainty. Conflict activates our flight or fight mechanism, right? Now we start to feel clammy. Now we start to sweat. Now we feel adrenalized, right? Some of us start shaking. Our voices start to go up, right? And more often than not, this is the environment when things start getting said out of reaction, which ain't really meant. This is when we start saying things that we ain't really mean that we wish we could take back. This is where feelings get hurt, right? This is where relationships get destroyed. No wonder most people want to avoid conflict, right? We see nothing good about it. But check this out, y'all. Some of the most innovative 360-degree solutions come out of conflict. The workplace, you know, this whole world that you're creating with entrepreneurship is always in need of growth. It's always in need of change. You always need a better, faster, stronger solution. You always are transitioning from one level to the next. You're always upgrading. Every single day we're looking to get better. And so conflict is going to be a part of regular life, y'all. And what I want you to realize, to all my people out there that are kind of scared of conflict, to all my people out there that embrace conflict in the wrong way, I want you to know that the more we handle it the right way, the more successful we're going to become. Somebody let me see it in the comments. Are you somebody who avoids conflict, or do you embrace it? Let me see it in the comments. Are you somebody who avoids conflict, or do you embrace it? I'm very curious. Before I get into these 10 ways that you can profit from it, right? I'm very curious. How do you see yourself? Do you avoid conflict, or do you embrace it? Let me see it. Anybody willing to share? I'm about to give you 10 different benefits because I think that some of us avoid it too much, and then some of us jump into it with a little bit too much vim and vigor. Some of us love the conflict a little bit too much. Which one are you? Which one are you? Check it out, y'all. While y'all are putting in your votes, while y'all are participating in the survey, I want to remind you this weekend's Kaizen Academy is all about setting appointments. So this would be a good time for you to join the Kaizen Academy if you hadn't already. If you hadn't already, this is a good time for you to get involved with the Kaizen Academy. Also, join our newsletter. Go to millionaireminded.com, put your name and your email in the box, and join the world's best newsletter for entrepreneurs. It's going to have you rolling. This weekend, I'm sending you this special guide this research firm just put out on how to post on Instagram. So that's going to be in this week's email. If you're watching this as a replay, then it's in the archives already. So you want to be on this week's email, y'all. Go to millionaireminded.com, put your name and your email in the box, and register for Entrepreneurishment, the world's best entrepreneur newsletter. All right, here we go. Here's the first thing that a way you can profit from conflict. It opens our eyes to new ideas. Somebody say it in the comments. New ideas are good. New ideas are good. New ideas are good. Yeah, that's exactly right. Dr. Monet like business is war, straight up. Mo likes to avoid it. Queen is like, yo, she embraces it. Ezra avoids it. Desiree is like, yo, it kind of depends. You know what I mean? I have no choice but to face it sometimes. Ezra's like, she avoids conflict. Brandy's like, My man, he like, I used to avoid like the plague, but I've been working on it. Okay. Jackie Robinson, like, I avoid it. Sometimes you hear men avoiding it because they don't like themselves when they get angry on some Bruce Banner. Tasia's like, yo, I avoid it. I don't like the negativity. Yolanda's like, I avoid it. I embrace it when God tells me to. That's hard. Tanisha's like, I like being petty. That's all it be half the time. Thank you for that transparency. Thank you for that transparency, Tanisha. Dr. Marilyn, I've been one who avoids conflict because in my generation, conflict with others could cost your life. However, it's time to change. Thank you for this topic. Wow. Appreciate that, Dr. Marilyn. Yeah, Don Lamar. Okay. So that's the first benefit I had for you. It opens our eyes to new ideas. Somebody say new ideas are good and then give us a share. Because all thoughts are expressed back and forth, right? All thoughts are kind of, a lot of times when you're organizing your thoughts, it's when you're expressing them out loud to somebody else. And when we say it out loud, what we do is we allow somebody else to kind of fine tune this truth we're communicating, right? Now, as our perspective begins to shape, it starts to kind of like bounce against theirs and smooth out the rough edges, right? Conflict is incredibly useful as a creator, because what you're doing is you're fine tuning your instrument against other people's ideas. You're fine tuning your ideas against other people's instruments, right? Other people's perspectives. When you hear somebody else's perception, now it helps to kind of clarify your own. All of a sudden, you find yourself more committed to your position, right? Either it makes you more committed to your position, or it kind of opens our eyes to a new point of view, a new perspective. Conflict does all of this, right? If you avoid it, you never get these benefits. Conflict is this incredibly effective vehicle for the generation of new solutions. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about conflict. Conflict is this incredible vehicle for gaining trust. I was telling a bunch of my mentees yesterday, do you know that it's conflict with the customer that creates retention? Think about it, because it's not until I see you solve a problem that it makes sense for me to trust you. I'm a fool to trust you if I'm just going off your words. I'm a wise man to trust you at the point I see you solving problems, at the point I see you solving smaller solutions. So now I'm like, maybe this person can solve a bigger problems. Maybe they can come up with bigger solutions. So what I'm saying is conflict allows you to develop deeper agreements. It allows you to generate new solutions. It allows you to gain more trust. All of this stuff is great for networking. All of this stuff is great for bonding. All of this stuff is great for establishing successful connections, and we still on number one. Y'all with me? Here's the second way to profit from conflict. Now you can verbalize your needs. Somebody say, my needs matter, and then give me a share. My needs matter, and then give me a share. Check it out, y'all. Matthew 7:7 breaks it down for us. Most people don't get what they want because they don't ask, right? Most people don't get what they want because they don't say what they want. Conflict provides us opportunity to verbalize our needs so we can get them met. Who we are and what we stand for in this whole thing called entrepreneurship, that's pretty much going to tell us our levels of success. Are you willing to be a thought leader in any area at all? Are you willing to have some kind of opinion on anything at all? Do you stand for something so much that you don't mind a little disagreement with you because you understand they're a little bit behind your way of thinking about it? Check it out. If the wake behind our boat is too big, right? You know when you're on a boat and you see all them waves behind you, nobody else can get by. But if it's too small, then we're going to get run over. You get what I mean? We got to find a balance where we can take a stand on issues, but we're not too aggressive. We ain't too pushy, but we also don't want to be a pushover. You got me? It's about balance. It's that conflict. It's that confrontation. It's that speaking up that makes us more resilient and less fearful when we're asking for what's needed. Am I making sense? This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Y'all with me? Here's the third one I got for you. Here's the third one I got for you. Here's the third one I got for you. Conflict teaches flexibility. Conflict teaches flexibility. Somebody say, I am flexible. I told my mentees yesterday, I was like, two things a leader needs: creativity that says there's always a way, and flexibility, which says there's always more than one way. Conflict teaches flexibility. See, because if we're in conflict, we not only going to have others adjusting to us and our perspectives, but we also going to be adjusting to them and theirs. Unless you just a complete brick wall, unless you're just a complete stick of margarine, or this person completely has no place in your life. I'm going to tell you one thing: humility and openness, These are the kinds of qualities that we admire in people that we give the gift of influence over our lives. When we see you more humble, when we see you more meek, is an even better way to put it. When we see you open to change, it makes us confident that you're the kind of person we can consider a leader. But if we need to be, on my last newsletter, I put this thing from these philosophers that was talking about the difference between the need to be right versus have been right. And they're like, the desire to be right is the search for truth. The desire to have been right is the pride that go before the fall. Maybe you ain't right all the time. Maybe you ain't right all the time. Check it out. You need flexibility. I don't know if you understand it, but when we discipline ourselves like we always have to be right, at the point we need to be right and we need to make somebody else wrong, now people are going to look at you as disagreeable. Now they're going to look at you as controlling. Now they're going to look at you as egotistical and fragile. You think you're coming off strong. You're coming off weak. This ain't what we want in a leader. Now people looking at you as a spoiled brat. Check it out. Additions and subtractions have to be made with any idea, right? I mean, that's what we all doing, baby, as entrepreneurs. We trying to add and subtract so we can multiply the revenue. Is that a fact? So have you ever thought about it that each contract that we have with our customers is going to be born from conflict? Think about this now. You got policies and procedures. You got ways you handle things, even if you've never written it down, even if it's in your subconscious. Do you realize most of those rules you have for life, they came from conflict? I take it back to parenting. I take it back to childhood and our parenting, our parental units. You know, the reason that we treat that sidewalk a certain way, or the reason we go into the grocery store it's because of some conflict we had with our parents, some kind of law they laid down. You hear what I'm saying to you? The more open and flexible we can be, the better a reputation we're going to develop for being fair, for being intelligent, for being wise. Here's the fourth one I got for you. Conflict teaches us to listen. Somebody say, I'm becoming a better listener. And then give me a share if you mean it. I'm becoming a better listener. Conflict teaches us how to listen, y'all. The key to any successful conflict resolution, and never forget that the goal of conflict is resolution. Well, check it out, y'all. The key to any successful conflict resolution is going to be the ability to listen. Most are so focused on their argument, on the litigation, that they have zero ability to listen. In this environment, your listening becomes a superpower. Your desire shouldn't be to win. Now we want to have been right instead of be right, right? Your desire shouldn't be to have been right. Your desire should be to listen and learn so you can profit. Somebody say, I got 2 ears, I got 2 eyes, and only 1 mouth. That's a math problem, y'all. It's like God trying to tell us something, right? It's almost like we're supposed to listen and observe twice as much as we talk. I don't know where we missed that. But check it out. You're not going to have a successful negotiation. You're not going to have a successful relationship with defensive, dominating people. So what conflict does is it teaches us to listen, because it takes patience. It takes discipline to control our impulse to talk over somebody else. It takes being able to put ourselves and our thoughts over to the side so we can fully take somebody else's perspective in, so we can drink it in. And if we're truly going to listen, millionaires, then we got to be active listeners. We can't be passive. We can't just be letting them talk while we scroll on Instagram, because they're going to get more heated. Somebody write this down in the comments. You should write this in your notes. Listening makes us elite. Listening makes us elite. Millionaires, listening is what gives us access to the information that we need to make smart decisions, to make lucrative decisions, to make our words more persuasive and influential. It all comes from being able to listen. Here's the fifth one I got for you. Conflict teaches us patterns of behavior. Conflict teaches us patterns of behavior. Check it out. As we engage in conflict, we start to learn about how other people work. We start to learn about how other people communicate. We start to learn about how other people think. What's their philosophy? What's their point of view? And the more we learn these patterns, the more effective we're going to be in future relationships, right? Because now we got some level of predictability to our life. Predictability becomes really helpful when you strategizing. Predictability becomes really helpful when you're negotiating. Predictability becomes really helpful when you're talking to a new client that's just like this other client you had a conflict with. Now you already know what to say and what not to say. Am I making sense? When we listen, we start to be able to figure out how people think, how they operate. We start to gain some insight. This is how we start to be able to define and work within their paradigms, their patterns. Now we can respect their limits. Now we're able to predict when and where we can push a little bit without being offensive. Now we know when and where we need to pull back so we can apply some level of finesse to that thing. Now you know patterns. Somebody write this in the comments. Intelligence is just pattern recognition. You just got smarter from a conflict. Am I making sense? Here's number 6. It leads to solutions. It leads to solutions. Why does conflict happen? Because some structure, some agreement was in place that ain't working no more. Something new got to come into play, right? Change is hard. Change creates discomfort, right? We naturally want to hang on to what we had. We naturally want to keep something that worked at one point, right? Even when it's outdated, even when it's clearly in need of updating, we want to hold on to it. Is that a fact? Check this out. If we're going to be successful, we got to stop looking at the destination and start embracing this as a journey of constant and never-ending improvement. That's why we call this thing Kaizen. That's why the name of our academy is the Kaizen Academy. You got to look at everything around you as if it's constantly in the process of development. If our business is really going to grow to these massive numbers that we visualize, when we do these visualization exercises, and when we coloring in our vision board coloring book, if our business is ever going to get there, then we got to constantly analyze that thing. We got to constantly be discussing this thing, even if it's with ourselves. What we don't want to do is keep on negotiating for accepting a lower standard, right? It's conflict. That's the back door to a reinvention. It's conflict. That's the back door to innovation. It's conflict that you're avoiding that's keeping you broker than you got to be. Here's number 7, y'all. Conflict lets us practice communication skills. Conflict lets us practice communication skills. Am I making sense? Conflict lets us, check it out, y'all. There are 2 forms of communication, right? You got internal communication, which is programming, and then you have external communication, which is called influence, right? At the end of the day, whether your children smoke crack or not is basically about, do you have more influence over them than the world? Does that make sense? Everything's about communication, whether you get that job or not, whether you excel in that job and get a raise or not, whether you get that new customer or not, whether you excel with that customer and get referrals from that customer. It all comes down to communication. Communication is a skill that requires a bunch of stuff that we leave by the wayside by avoiding conflict. I'm talking about self-control. I'm talking about patience. I'm talking about intelligence. Listen to me. It requires we be real. It requires we be authentic. If we back down from conflict, we end up being fake. We end up being disingenuous. We end up becoming passive aggressive. We end up not communicating our perspective because we scared of something. All I'm saying, y'all, is conflict is hard for everybody. But the more we engage in it, the better we get at communication. And that's going to profit us the rest of our lives. This ain't to say that we should jump out here and try to create conflict. I'm not saying that. But the intention is to not be afraid to participate in conflict when it pops up. You got to deal with that thing and be open to being surprised. Sometimes we swear we know what somebody gonna do. You know how much more life becomes fun and exciting when you sit back and instead of deciding you know exactly what they're going to do, you decide you're going to observe. Number 8 is it helps us to set limits. I got 3 more for you. Here's number 8. It helps us to set limits. See, people need to know where we start and they stop. That's called boundaries. You know, the thing about a human being is we'll pick up a pencil and that becomes an extension of ourselves, right? Now we can feel stuff with the pencil, right? We touch the elevator button with it becomes, do you know we have a tendency to do that with each other? If you ain't careful, that person is over there considering you an extension of them. Like you are nothing except a tool for them, right? Well, see, conflict helps us set limits. People need to know where they stop and you begin. And conflict is the perfect place to do that. Conflict is the perfect place to make new agreements. Conflict is the perfect place for us to start setting down these guardrails that help us stay in integrity and stay in respect. Because if you ain't got respect, if you ain't on the same page, then it can't develop. This thing can't flourish, right? So as we communicate needs, as we begin to express boundaries, now we let them learn something about us, right? Now they learn something about how we work. We also learn something about ourselves. You ever heard somebody say, you don't really discover who you are till you're in the middle of a crisis, in the middle of a conflict? Check it out. Conflict teaches us when to back off and when to activate for ourselves. But it all is a profit you can get from conflict. Here's number 9. It lets you practice emotional control. I don't have to beat a dead horse about that. We discuss emotional intelligence all the time. As a matter of fact, this is the feeling wheel that I got from my therapist. This is the feeling wheel. If you need it, just inbox me and I'll send it to you. It walks you through the root emotions and then the needs you have. On one side of the feeling wheel, like you see in yellow, on the opposite side is the opposite emotion. It's really interesting. My point is emotional intelligence is being able to identify your emotions, control your emotions, identify emotions in others, manage relationships, and then motivate yourself. This is what we call emotional intelligence. Conflict teaches you how to practice emotional intelligence. We don't have to be so darn emotional all the time. If we want to be taken seriously, then we got to approach conflict seriously. Does that make sense? We got to learn to remain calm and use the least amount of words to get our point across, all while remaining firm and flexible, making sure that we're firm and yet fair. How is this going to happen? This is going to happen from perseverance. This is going to happen from self-control. You with me? These are the keys to successful conflict resolution. And I'm going to say it for the second time today. Never forget the purpose of conflict is resolution. When we're in control of ourselves, people can relate to us a lot better. They can count on us a lot more. They can trust our intentions to a much higher degree. All of that comes from emotional intelligence. Am I making sense? You should jot that in your notes. And the last one I got for you is that it allows us to differentiate ourselves. I'm doing a training March 19th, masterclass. It's going to be a 2-hour masterclass, completely free, right? And it's going to be all about how to make yourself an authority. But the subtitle is, and not a commodity. See, if you don't differentiate yourself, then you start to become a commodity, something that we just buy based on price, like oranges or rice. But see, conflict allows us to differentiate ourselves. Don't you know when Eminem came in the rap game, he had to start conflict with NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears because he knew if he didn't, they would try to make him another pop, fly-by-night, flash in the pan. He had to create conflict to differentiate himself. Am I making sense to somebody out there? Somebody say, I'm a thought leader, and give me a share. That's your last chance to give us a share today. Say, I'm a thought leader. See, that's what conflict allows you to do. We can learn a whole lot about who we are through the differences we have with other people. This is called differentiation. You hear me? This is called thought leadership sometimes. Differentiation is our capacity to tell our truth and our perspective as clearly as we see it, all while still being engaged with the people that listen to us. All still being engaged with the people who believe a little bit different from us. Am I making sense? It's conflict that lets us have this opportunity to put a true representation of ourselves out there in the world. Speaking the truth about ourselves, millionaires, in the midst of disagreement, right? This is the foundation of emotional health. Being able to speak the truth, even when you kind of know people ain't gonna feel you on this. That's your emotional health right there. That's successful communication right there, especially if you deliver it with tact and those subtle nuances that show you care about the people around you, not just yourself. But now what you're doing is you're allowing other people to adjust. Am I making sense? Now you're allowing other people to adjust. Now our differences can become our strengths. Am I making sense, y'all? Because the ultimate goal of conflict is resolution. It's affirmation time. Somebody put that in the comments. The ultimate goal of conflict is resolution. Throw that in the comments. That's how we're going to sign off. What is your favorite way to profit that we went over today? What is your favorite way to profit that we went over today? I want to hear it from you. What is your favorite way to profit that we covered today? Throw it in the comments, man, because that's going to help you solidify it in your subconscious as something you are going to adopt. I want to invite you all to join the newsletter. Go to millionaireminded.com, put your name and your email in the box, and you're going to get this study. This week's newsletter, aside from having the mindset and the heart set and the skill set section, it's also going to have this quick study that this research firm did on Instagram. When to post, how to post. Some of you don't know whether you should use reels or pictures or carousels. And, it's a really cool study. So make sure you join the newsletter, millionaireminded.com. Go to millionaireminded.com and put your name and your email in the box, and you got it. All right, it's affirmation time, y'all. Repeat after me. If you don't have your affirmation coloring book, you need to grab one, right? But check it out. We do it every morning. You're supposed to do your affirmations. It's like taking a vitamin. But who actually does them? The superheroes, the masters of the universe. Repeat after me, y'all. Say it like you mean it. I am so